Okay, starting with this quote. The desire to fix another is an active avoidance of the neglected self. Well, that's a big old bag of like bullshit, and that's part of the conditioning of this toxic healing thing that we're doing to each other, and that's being fed into our medias. Because if you actually take something like that and you look at an individual trying to help somebody because they care about them and they can see their potential, we're actually making we're trying to say that that's a toxic trait, when maybe it's a societal thing that's being toxic. When why is that person needing that help, and why does another person see something that's a potential good? Because there is a potential good, and maybe the cause and the reason why that they're down is because it's a societal thing, because we don't lift each other up. We compete and compare, and we discard, and we trash talk, and we're mean. We are conditioned to be self-conscious of ourselves, and that is used as a tool against us to pretty much make people rich. Money is the root of all evil. So paying 20% more for some shavers because they're pink, and to make people feel like they need to be cleaner, or we will people please to fit in, because that plays off of our instincts to survive. Our instincts to survive are very, very, very dependent on each other, and we completely miss that altogether. But we don't see that we are actually discarding and harming each other by needing to fit into cliques, because in again, we need to survive, and together is how we survive. So we're afraid to be our authentic selves for um what may happen if someone sees that and it is not acceptable. So we will people please, and we are trained to do this. So that person that's being helped, that can't be fixed, I think we have that a pretty reversed here. Because if the community was together, then we would all pick each other up. The problem with all this is the actual self-healing that would come from that is um humility, and most people aren't brave enough to face humility. So that's why we scream and shout, and that's the part of yourself, that's the inner wounded child that we need to reflect into to actually find ourselves. It's internal. It's not linear in front of you. It's going backwards into yourself to forgive yourself for being mean, or for being cruel, or forgiving yourself for you know having that bad childhood, or whatever issue that had happened. That's how we actually heal, is finding that self-compassion and allowing ourselves to feel it. And when we do that, we start to realize that when people project onto us, it has nothing to do with us. It's their own self-reflection of what they don't like within themselves, because they were pretty much conditioned in the same environment. And when we start having compassion for that, we understand that we need to correct each other for that bad behavior, because the more we allow it, the more it's almost validated for it to keep happening. But if we correct it, even if they can't be that self-aware, they'll be self-aware enough to still play on that survival mechanism of needing to be in the community. So it'll correct that behavior and check themselves, and it'll bring somewhat of a more self-awareness, maybe not self-conscious awareness, but enough to make sure that that behavior is not allowed in that community. Doesn't mean discard, but that will bring something called unconditional love. And once you have that unconditional love, then you've made it to authenticity. Then you are free to be actually yourself, and maybe we can all create heaven on earth, and that would be pretty fantastic, instead of this hot fucking mess of a derailed train carrying these stupid little fucking selfish quotes about not taking accountability. This whole narcissistic pandemic fucking trash boat can go to hell, because that's not the community that we need. And healing comes from actual community, because we are only as healthy as our community is. We're only as strong as our community is, and our community is you and me. And if you are in this thought process, you're not alone. Even though you feel alone because nobody else is connecting with you, that void that you feel is disconnection. And if you feel that void, then connect with me, because we are in this together. And I love you and I care. And let's high five and make the world a better place.